How's it going? Welcome to the show. Let's talk about it. Now, what we got to talk about today is what's going on in the ocean in South Africa. They have this huge dinosaur shark called the Megalodon shark. This shark is weighed 50 tons and stretch out about 70 feet long. 70 feet long. They say that this shark here eats killer whales, destroy boats. Let's take a look at the footage.
A prehistoric shark the size of a tractor trailer might still be in our ocean today. Video of a whale being attacked, a satellite photo, and a modern tooth fragment would seem convincing to many. But last year, Drake, you didn't have any of that. What brought your investigation to an end?
Well, the biggest reason the government shut it down was because after months of silence, they were convinced that the boat attack was a one-time isolated event.
And do you think that's a fair assumption?
Yeah, to some degree, yeah, but for my money, no, not really. It's true that sharks as a rule don't attack people on purpose.
Yeah, it's usually going after seals or whales in this case, right?
Correct, yeah, it's a case of mistaken identity, but this happens 50 to 70 times a year, with 5 or more of these events being fatal, so it's fair to assume that it could happen again.
All right. To give us that theory, we're now being joined by the Assistant Director, Gavin Curring, from the South African Department of Environmental Affairs. Mr. Curring, welcome.
Thank you.
First off, at what point did you and your fellow officials decide that Drake's case had run its course?
Well, it was our considered opinion that Mr. Drake was not properly following the evidence.
And why do you say that?
Obviously, an investigation like this drew a lot of attention. And Mr. Drake's findings caused a lot of people to question his research and his methodology. So we brought in some third-party scientists to examine all the data independently.
And I take it they came to a different conclusion.
Yes, in fact, it was their determination that the incident was perpetrated not by a shark, but by a lone orca.
A killer whale?
Yes, a killer whale.
Okay, Mr. Curran, you saw this photo taken by one of your shark eye spotters shortly after the boat attack, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Do you agree this looks like a humpback whale being attacked?
It would appear so, yes.
And the fin of the attacking animal, you think that's an orca?
Yes, it's certainly possible. There are some considerations, of course. The fin appears to be grey as opposed to black in the photograph, but this is not a deal breaker. There have been grey orcas known to exist both in the wild and in captivity.
Hey, now you heard what the assistant director said in South Africa. He's trying to cover up a lot of this stuff that's going on out there in the ocean. They know that they know that there is something weird and real strange out there in the water. But let's take a further look on what he's talking about.
First of all, Mr. Curring is saying is true. Great orcas do exist. I brought some photos here of great orcas in the wild.
Are they common?
No, in fact not. The gray coloration is caused by a rare genetic condition called Cherry-Higashi syndrome, and it cuts an orca's life short. So a gray orca would never get as large as the predator in question.
Okay. Mr. Curran, can you...
Sorry to interrupt. If I can, just one more thing. You'll notice the shape of the fin. Now, we estimated that fin to be 6 feet tall. Now, the largest orcas do have fins that tall, but they're shaped like an isosceles triangle. They don't have the curvature of that fin, if you check out this compare and contrast.
Okay. Mr. Curran, can you see these photos?
Yes, I can.
And what do you think?
I think Mr. Drake would rather us believe that there's a 70-foot dinosaur shark down there than a lone orca with a strange fin.
But, sir, what does that explanation actually gain you? If it's a monster orca instead of a monster shark, don't you end up with the same problem?
Orcas do not attack people. Until this incident, there have been precisely 0 proven instances of an orca killing a person in the wild. That's why we contend that this is an isolated incident and highly unlikely to reoccur.
Okay, so then how do you respond to the tooth fragment that appears to be from
as has been noted, the full size of that tooth is pure speculation. Also, there's something that Mr. Drake has failed to mention, is that...
See, now we can clearly see that he's trying to cover it up because we know that this is not an orca whale. He said it himself out his own mouth that orcas are not dangerous. So this have to be a dinosaur shark. I mean, the Megalodon is huge. I mean, it bit through an actual bowl. So how can you cover this up? I mean, there's no way. Let's move on.
Certainly appreciate it.
And thank you.
So, even after all your evidence, people continue to still have doubts.
Yeah, I think he's just a politician playing politics. But to be fair, the next thing that I came across gave me some doubts of my own.
Really? What was that?
Well, ever since I started on the case, I've been tracking this animal's movements around the world, relying on confirmed video evidence and not just hearsay. But the next thing I was about to find would cause a problem, if I can talk you through that.
Lay it on me.
Okay, so the earliest confirmed clip that we came across was this. We aired it in the documentary last year.
What is that? Look at there. What is that?
Here we see the carcass of a whale washed up on a shore in Hawaii with its tail missing. This was in 2009. Now, although not an actual Megalodon sighting, I'd argue it's unmistakably the...
Man, did y'all see that footage right there? That was crazy. You see what that I'm talking about? You see what it did to a whale? It bit the tail off. You see the tail of the whale was completely off. I mean, it has got to be something larger than an orca out there that's doing that. I mean, you heard what he said. He said these things is harmless. They don't do that to each other. So it's got to be a Megalodon dinosaur shark. Let's take a look at further footage and see what's going on.
Of Megalodon. Okay. The next thing we found was an actual sighting, and it was an underwater camera just off of Chile. This was also in the documentary. Based on the size and the spacing of the fins, we estimated the creature to be 62 feet long. That was in 2010. And that's a reasonable time frame for Megalodon to make that journey.
Okay.
Then we come across the initial incident in Brazil.
Okay, and that's the Coast Guard footage.
The fins, we estimated the creature to be 62 feet long. That was in 2010. And that's a reasonable time frame for Megalodon to make that journey.
Okay.
Then we come across the initial incident in Brazil.
Okay, and that's the Coast Guard footage we saw a moment ago.
Correct, yeah. During the rescue op, they see this massive shape in the water pass beneath them.
Sure.
And that was in 2012. Again, plenty of time for Megalodon to make that trip.
Sure.
Then came the initial attack on that fishing boat in South Africa, which led to our whole investigation and resulted in the cage getting destroyed and the whale decoy getting taken down.
Sure.
Now, that was in 2013. We also now have the tooth fragment that corroborates Megalodon's presence there. 7 months later, we get Jake Skelton's video in Cape Verde, which according to his coordinates is right here.
Okay.
So far, nothing unusual about this pad. However, there is a problem with Megalodon showing up in Brazil again too.
Hey, welcome back to Let's Talk About It. Now what we got to talk about is the footage that we just seen. Let's talk about it. Hey, did you guys see that humongous, huge shark we just took a look at on that footage? I mean, like, wow. I mean, I never seen nothing so big in my life in the water other than a great white. You guys seen the footage? That shark was huge. I'm talking 70 feet long and 50 tons of weight just swimming in the water. Now we seen it on the footage. Let's take a look at some more.
South Africa, which led to our whole investigation and resulted in the cage getting destroyed and the whale decoy getting taken down.
Sure.
Now, that was in 2013. We also now have the tooth fragment that corroborates Megalodon's presence there. 7 months later, we get Jake Skelton's video in Cape Verde, which according to his coordinates is right here.
Okay.
So far, nothing unusual about this pad. However, there is a problem with Megalodon showing up in Brazil again 2 months later.
And what's that?
Well, remember how we tagged Megalodon in South Africa last April?
Presumably. But that tag you used stopped working almost immediately, as I remember.
Well, that's the way that it seemed. But then in January, it reappeared.
Where's that?
Well, that's the rub. 5 days after that satellite photo was taken in Brazil, the tag box to the surface right here.
Well, seems as though that presents you with a bit of a conundrum now, doesn't it?
Yeah, a huge conundrum.
Unless,
Pat. However, there is a problem with Megalodon showing up in Brazil again 2 months later.
and what's that?
Well, remember how we tagged Megalodon in South Africa last April?
Presumably. But that tag you used stopped working almost immediately, as I remember.
Well, that's the way that it seemed. But then in January, it reappeared.
Where's that?
Well, that's the rub. 5 days after that satellite photo was taken in Brazil, the tag box to the surface right here.
Well, seems as though that presents you with a bit of a conundrum now, doesn't it?
Yeah, a huge conundrum.
Unless Megalodon can swim from Brazil to the middle of the Indian Ocean in 5 days.
I highly doubt that was the answer to my question.
But I would imagine you do have an answer.
A very solid one, yeah.
Hang on to that thought. We'll get to that when we come back. Coming up next, Drake presents one final piece of evidence he says will solve the Megalodon.
The experience on that footage there was, it was talking about the Megalodon shark and how it actually exists in South Africa oceans, and how it is deadly and dangerous to other whales and fishes as well. And what they seem to discover that is actually torn up a boat and killed some people that was actually out there fishing trying to catch them. Now their main agenda is trying to catch this big Megalodon dinosaur shark in the ocean, and so it won't be a threat to any other living species in the ocean. So we would like to thank you guys for taking a look at our video, and we'll have more footage and more things to talk about on Let's Talk About It next week. Thank you. Footage on next week's show, Let's Talk About It, as we get deeper and deeper into the world's biggest sharks. Let's go.
It's a decoy seal.
For years, seal decoys have been used to lure sharks to the ocean's surface.
In this area, you've got 2 seal islands here, and the seals live on these islands, and they must go out feeding every day. The sharks know this, and they patrol around the area. They might be down at 100 feet, and they fly out the water like a freight train.